am Francoise Lamotte, here based in Switzerland.
Hi, this is Dominik in the San Francisco Bay Area. Our podcast, The Digital Edge, brings our perspectives on the digital revolution with a cutting-edge angle.
So today we are discussing, is AI killing diversity in recruitment? And my perspective is that, starting with recruitment and AI first, maybe. What I've heard and what I've seen in the market, at least in Switzerland, is that the number of applications is exploding. I hear from managers that when they post a job offer, they get 400, 500, 600 applications. And it becomes almost not humanly possible to sort out through all the application. I think, that managers in that position are really seeing the benefit of using application selection system, ATS, with AI. What do you think? Do you see the same on your side?
Yeah, AI to the rescue.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is probably, I don't know if it's a global phenomenon, but definitely in the United States as well, right? As the job market took a little bit of a turn to the worse in 2023, what happened was, and I think there's a little bit of maybe a symptom out of the pandemic with a lot of remote work, right? The candidate pool also exploded, right? And so you had applicants from all over the country, sometimes even internationally, apply for roles within the United States. And so exactly what you said, you had this huge pool of people that applied for these roles, and no recruiter could anymore navigate through these applications to determine which candidates are truly suitable for that role. And so tools came in to help with that, right? To fix that.
Yeah, and I think those tools are, from my understanding, there is one aspect which is, the manager providing a set of criteria that, or like skills or competencies that they want to see in the candidates, and this is like filtering based on the resume. But another level is about maybe the application letter and looking at keywords and expressions that will be able to detect the best candidates. What I observe is that it's a bit of a game between the managers on one side using AI to filter candidates. But on the other side, the candidates are also using AI to make their resume look better and to write their motivation letter. So, it feels like it's almost AI talking to AI. I don't know, if there is any authenticity left in that process. What do you think?
Yeah. If you look at the entire thing, what happens, right? You have this restriction from the job posting already, right? Which has to be very specific about what the role entails. So you have like hard requirements, if you will. And then what a job applicant does is, and there's even software tools, right? Where you can go and say, hey, there's a job posting. Here's my resume. Please match it together and create it in a way that I have a great chance to pass the initial filter, right? So I think it's exactly like you say, have this game between the posting, the application creation, and then the applicant tracking system to make it through that and call out all the relevant keywords, which ultimately means that all candidates that apply for a role look the same.
Yeah, so maybe even before that, I think, if you look at we say customer experience, but in that case, I would like to speak about candidate experience. I feel it's really bad or it's really deteriorating because, you post your resume usually in a PDF format, but within a few seconds, you need to re-enter all the information in those online templates because the data has been extracted, but then you need to re-input everything. So this is
Right.
really cumbersome. And I think where the experience is really bad, and I think companies should be really careful about that because the recruitment is like the first contact with the organization, is, when you apply, and when, within a few hours you get an answer, usually, a no answer, you really feel that you've been handled by a machine, and no human has even had a chance to look at your application. And I think this might really impact the reputation or the employer brand of some organization if they don't even show that they take the time to review the application, and you get a no answer within a few hours. So I think,
Yeah,
there's a big warning for me there.
yeah, I think so. I mean, on the one side, if you have 1,000 applicants, right, the question is like, how can you get through that? There's actually something interesting, come to think of it, that I saw on online the other day. There's the the owner of the company said that in his job postings he puts in a little trivia or a small task that he asks candidates to add a special keyword into the subject line of the application. And he found that only about 10% people read the application carefully enough that they do it. So he's using a small, super simple test to filter out the initial round of candidates. And I thought that was a very creative way, rather than this complicated, AI against AI with resumes and applications to filter candidates out who do pay attention to the requirements of the job.
Yeah, so now the game is how can you beat the robot? And coming to your point about lack of diversity, I mean, I talked recently to a headhunter, and he said that exactly, that by using those tools at the end, he was getting clones, like people who really look alike. And when he's making the long list, I mean, he said to me for one application that he had, 7 people, they were really identical. And when you are a headhunter, I think one of your value add is to present a diversity of candidates and to show different profiles, so that the client can, refine and see different profiles. So what he was telling me, to your point, is that he was spending probably less time sorting through resumes as he was doing before, but now he's spending a lot of time trying to trick the AI model to try to surface other types of candidates. And very often he has to go back to a longer list and manually try to find diversity. So yeah, I mean, yeah, indeed, it's. I don't think these AI tools are really, solving the issues or making the outcome better.
Yeah, I think so too. I believe that what's happening, and I can't say for sure, I don't have any data on this, but anecdotally, what I see is that when you have roles that have such a high volume of candidates, that you can't really distinguish anymore, like you said, who they are and how they distinguish from each other. And you also miss out on soft skills, right? You can't say, this person did a good job with the resume explaining themselves, because again, it all looks nearly the same and it's tailored for the ATS rather than the human to read. And so I think in this situation where you can't, make a determination anymore, it then comes back down to hiring the known entity, right? You then start looking at the people that you know and that you have maybe personal experience with, because at least you can tell, that they've maybe done a good job or they have a reputation that you're aware of or something like that, right? It becomes then more of a personal relationship situation again, right? Where you have to trust the person that you know, because everything else, all the other data that you have, is unreliable. And
Yeah,
so I think we're
absolutely.
heading in that direction again of the human contact.
Yeah, maybe an anecdote, but I have this exact example. Like one institution in Lausanne was hiring for a really nice position, and I heard they got 400 applicants. At the
Mhm.
end, they recruited someone who was already in the institution, and they knew already. So yeah, exactly to your point. I think the we are going back to maybe less diversity, but even less openness, because at the
Mhm.
end you tap into your network and the people you know, because all the rest doesn't feel very reliable or
Yeah, it could be
trustworthy.
risky, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think maybe as a conclusion for me on this topic, I feel like it's like in many cases with AI, still a very new technology. I mean, I'm talking generative AI, obviously, and probably not at the stage of maturity where it brings all the benefits it could. Maybe not jumping too quickly on the bandwagon and taking the time to really reflect on how it can be used in recruiting to really bring the benefit to both the candidates and the organizations. What is your
Yeah.
view?
Yeah, I think so too. We're really with this automated approach now, right? Of AI on both sides of the fence. We're applying new technology that's extremely capable on this very limited traditional process where on 1 or 2 pages of information we had an expert recruiter be able to make a determination on the candidate, right? And I think this is, the technology is almost overkill at this point, and perhaps, I'm not suggesting that this is where we should go with this, but maybe there needs to be a fuller representation of a candidate as part of the application process, right? Where, we're more than 1 page or 2 pages of information and boiled down of career experiences that can be extremely vast. And
Mhm.
so, again, right, I think the process and the way that we go about recruiting has to fundamentally change, if the technology are to persist, or maybe we need to go back to a more human-centric approach and revisit the technology at a later time when it's, more helpful and productive in finding the right match for a role, which many people are out there and they can't be matched up because of this limitation right now.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dominic, for our discussion today.
Great
So next
discussion,
time,
Francoise.
next time we'll be talking about the role of security, privacy, confidentiality in digital transformation. See you then. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.